brigar. Foi o negro inventando. Ele ganha quem é brasileiro e não tem pouco de malandro, malandrado.
Greetings, this is Professor Jahsun of Os Malandros de Mestre Toro. I'm working for William Grant Still Center, and this is African Martial Arts, Lesson 8. So this is our final week, and I want to make it really enjoyable and action-packed and spiritually packed because we're talking about Cuerpo Fechado, closed body techniques. And when we think about this aspect of African martial arts or capoeira, it has two levels, at least two levels. When we think of it, on one level, it's talking about being very protective. We're going to be doing a movement called Resistencia, where we close in all of our body, all of our vital points of our body. That's on one level. But then on the spiritual level, the cultural, ethnic level, there's also an aspect of spiritually closing off your body. When we think about martial arts like Kung Fu and various Asian systems where we see a person punching through a brick, or we see someone breaking a board with their foot, or bending iron against their throat. African martial arts is not is not exempt from this. African martial arts, in many ways, they do some pretty phenomenal things, and there are things that I've seen in terms of African spiritual systems that I probably couldn't explain on here to you. But we have an individual, we have one really great maestre, and there are so many, but we'll just talk about this one. Mestre Besouro Manganga. And he is an individual who had the ability that people call Cuerpo Fechado. And though even in his name, Mestre Besouro Manganga, Besouro is a word that basically means beetle. And the idea of the beetle being black and having this ability to fly, but if we look at the beetle just by general science, it should not be able to fly, but it is. And this is, even in his name, it represents the potential of great blackness. And when we listen to his last name, Manganga, this is actually a Kikongo word, and it basically means priest. But here in the diaspora, what we learned is that the Nganga, particularly in the tradition of Palo Mayombe, the Nganga is not just the priest, the Nganga is the medicine, it is the fetish. So when we talk of medicine or fetish or charm, Mestre Besouro Manganga had a certain type of charm. When we say charm, I'm speaking of internal body medicine and or a talisman that will make one immune to certain attacks. And Mestre Besouro Manganga was known to be immune to attacks of bullets, of knives. Any sort of metal could not pass through his body because he had what many people identify as the other level, the spiritual level of Cuerpo Fechado, body protection, closed body. He had that ability. And as I said before, many of these things are connected with the African spiritual systems. So as we put a cap on this discussion of the decolonization of African spirituality, along with the decolonization of the African martial art known as capoeira, I want to say, investigate, investigate, investigate. Our traditions are used for liberation. Capoeira is used for our liberation. It is a force of indigenous, African, Black power. And we must utilize these tools to empower ourselves, to empower women, to empower those who are in positions of oppression against the power structure. So this week, we're going to talk about the movement of Resistencia-Martelo-Chapa. So with this, we Resistencia close off all of our points as someone is attacking us. And then we explode with Martelo-Chapa. So I thank you so much for tuning in to this group of lectures and discussions and lessons on African martial arts. And I pray that you continue to learn, study, and grow, and most of all, decolonize your spiritual understanding and decolonize your thoughts about Africa and Africans in the diaspora or on the continent. Thank you once again. I'm Professor Jahsun. Ginga. Resistencia. Martelo-Chapa. As you see, my Resistencia, all of my main vital points of my body are protected. Here it is from the side. Resistencia. Martelo-Chapa. Rolê, that was rolê. Resistencia. Martelo-Chapa. Here it is again. Key point here is how you can use Resistencia in a closed space and use the martelo to close the gap. Obrigado.